Welcome to our our October, November product update webinar. Okay, so new information. We're going to talk about the Content Readiness Toolkit, some updates in Pressbooks results, a quick look at the refreshed Pressbooks community forum. We have a change we're announcing to the Open Education Network discount policy, and then a few smaller updates, and then our usual topics around research and upcoming events, and hopefully a little time for a community roundtable today. So for our in terms of new and coming soon things, last month we talked a little bit about the Pressbooks Content Readiness Toolkit, which is a set of add-on tools that we have begun to deliver that make it easier for authors to make sure their content is ready to publish. And so the one that's now available, and a number of you may have already been using it in the free trial, is the Accessibility Authoring tool. It allows authors to check for accessibility and get flags around that as they are building or editing content. We have begun development on what we're calling the Accessibility Monitoring tool. That's a tool that scans existing books for accessibility, so you don't have to go page by page to help with identifying and fixing common issues. And then a third thing that we'll actually do a quick demo on is the broken link checker. It is ready. We are introducing a limited pilot that will start next week, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. If anybody is interested in being part of that, we would love to put your name on the list and get you involved in that. And that is a tool that helps easily find broken hyperlinks in Pressbooks content. So just a couple of quick things. Again, we touched on this last month, but these are add-on tools, meaning they are tools that are add-on features that carry an additional fee, but we're trying to keep the pricing very affordable. We've had questions, why are we charging extra and not just building into the core platform? We incur extra costs to develop and support and maintain these new features, and we know that there are things that a lot of people want, but we also need to offset our costs to be able to provide them. At the same time, we have a lot of highly budget-sensitive clients, and including some that say, well, we are already investing in other tools to help us with those kinds of things. And so in doing the add-on structure, it allows choice for those who say, you know what, we address this in other ways, or it's not a priority. And so not requiring, and not kind of raising costs or forcing people to pay extra for something that they don't see value in. For those that want to use these tools, we can prorate the cost for the remainder of your year and add it to the next renewal. So we're not going to do a kind of mid-year invoice. We could, I guess, if you really wanted to, but nobody really wants that. And so that would just be something that we would address as we come into the next renewal. So going a little bit further, so the accessibility authoring tool, this is a tool that's powered by Editorially. It brings so that when you're in the visual editor, it flags accessibility issues. Also, if you're logged in and you're just in the, in the viewing content, not even in the accessibility view, it also can flag accessibility issues. And it allows the author or the creator to ignore stuff that they've already addressed. It also will allow them to turn off those alerts if they find those distracting when they're in the build process. So there's a variety of ways that folks are using that and finding value in that. The pricing is $2.99 a year for single networks and $4.99 for shared networks. That is unlimited use for everybody who is in your network. We have identified through the free trial, we were doing user testing, and we have several improvements that we're working on. One is some things just to help users more easily figure out how can they turn those accessibility notifications off and on, to make that a little bit more intuitive as they're getting acclimated to the tool. We also had a few people run into a situation where the accessibility widget was blocking the save button, some edge cases where that came up. And so we're actually changing the positioning of that in Pressbooks so that will never happen because that obviously is a problem. And then we are continuing to collect user feedback and expect more incremental improvements to come. So this is just a quick screenshot of what the accessibility alerts look like. This is that widget that we told you about. In this positioning, you can see how that, again, we found some edge cases where the save button ended up being underneath this, and that created problems. So again, in the usability and user feedback work, we're making adjustments to address that.
Before you move on, Julie, and this is
Sure.
just the other thing that in the left-hand pane, what you see is this is what it looks like when editorial is on. So this tooltip would pop up, and some authors find the tooltip distracting while they're editing. So that little flag, if you click the flag, what you'll see is what you see on the right. The tooltips go away. There's a really easy interface to turn the tooltips on and off by just clicking that flag or an X. Not all authors know that, so we've updated our docs to say that. And if you have people complaining to you, telling you about them, the solution is really just that simple. Just click the flag, turn it off, click the flag, turn it back on.
All right. Thank you, Steele. Okay. As I mentioned, we had a free trial. Officially, the free trial ended on November 5th. And so what happens now, if you happen to be part of that free trial, account managers are in the process of reaching out to everybody who was part of the free trial to see if they want to continue using it. If so, we will plan to prorate the cost and it will be built into your next renewal. If not, we plan to deactivate the tool on those networks on November 17th. And so you'll see that happen. If you missed the free trial, check in with your account manager. We had a handful of clients reach out and say the timing wasn't great for that. We can certainly activate the tool for selected books and give people a chance to try that out and let you decide if that's something that you would like to use. All right. I mentioned already the accessibility monitoring tool. Again, this is that background scan capability. And this is something, so network managers, book admins could do this so they don't have to go through every single page one by one, which is how editorial is designed to work. It will run a background scan and then generate the report for you. So you can use that to see here's the books, here's where there's potential accessibility issues, and just sort of prioritize how you want to address those or look at those. We have not finalized the pricing. We're still determining, we're still learning more about sort of the cost and performance implications. It is tied, the cost for us is tied to the number of scans. And so that means this may be tier-based or a number of scans, based. And again, we're talking to folks about this and learning more about how users want to use these kinds of tools to help inform what the final pricing structure is. The timing, we hope to have this available to try out before the end of this year. So we would anticipate there being a free trial or a kind of a pilot window where you could try it out and see how that works and then go forward. So this is the third piece in our content readiness toolkit. It's a background scanning tool that helps locate broken hyperlinks. So here again, network managers and book admins can conduct background scans and generate broken link reports. I think this one, again, we haven't finalized pricing yet. We're actually watching in our limited trial to learn more about the sort of cost and kind of network load or implications to help us gauge pricing so that we're picking something that is fair and affordable, but will ensure that it's sustainable from Pressbooks' perspective as well. We are kicking off this limited pilot next week. We have a list of institutions who said we're interested. We're going to see, Steele is going to share a quick demo of this, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the pilot after the demo. So I will stop sharing. Steele, take it away.
So here I'm in Pressbooks. If you're in a book, the book dashboard will look like this. And if the broken link checker is active on your network, you'll see a new option in the left nav menu that says Content Readiness and a choice that says Link Checker. This is the interface that you can use the link checker from. So I've just opened the link checker in a sample book, and you'll see a bit of content at the top. This kind of explains to you what you're doing and what this tool will do. So one, this is the book URL. This is who I am. This is the person that's going to be requesting the scan. We'll keep track of that for auditing logs. And then down below, it'll tell you right now the feature is allowing a certain number of scans per network. The network I'm on is set up to allow 50 scans, and we've used 37 of them, so 13 are left. If you run out and you need more, it tells you to contact your account manager. And then it also informs you these scans, we're going to we have a tool that will go scan every page, generate all the URLs, and then check them. So it can take several minutes to run. If you want, you can leave the page and come back and see the results, or you can click this button and it will send you an email letting you know the scan is done, either or both. And then to start a scan, you would click check links. So in this case, I'm going to start a scan, and it's going to go through this book and start sharing the results below. So you can see the link check is in progress. So far, it's checked 0 of 0 links. There's a total of 127, so it'll take a little while to check them. Instead of sitting here and watching that, I'm going to show you a very big book that we scanned before where we found hundreds of broken links. And I'll kind of give you a tour of what the broken link checker interface shows you. So this report can be downloaded. If you'd rather have it as a CSV, you can click this button and download it as a CSV. But I'm going to use just the visual interface for right now. The first thing we'll see is the number of broken links, and then you'll see what page in my book did it occur in, what was the actual URL that we attempted to check that was broken, what's the text that displays to users. So sometimes the URL doesn't exactly tell you what the link is to, and the text helps. And then there's a status and a description. When it comes to broken links, there's lots of different status indicators. The most common are going to be things like 401, which means for whatever reason, the broken link checker was unauthorized. We couldn't see the resource. It required some kind of authentication. 403 means forbidden. Not all 403s are true failures. Sometimes in the case of like DOI, it's just you can click it, check it, and say, oh yeah, actually that link does in fact work. I can ignore that one. That one's a false positive. There was probably just some redirect issue because the DOI points us onto this, so it had a redirect. And then another kind of common error that you'll see that's a little bit more important is a 404. You've probably all seen 404 pages when you visit websites. The server sends a 404 message when it says, we didn't find a resource or a page here. So if I were to click this link, I'd say, oh yeah, that page truly is not found. It looks like it has something to do with European law. And so I might want to go to that chapter and then find that link and replace it with whatever resource I really was trying to link to. I'm not the author of this book, so I'm not really sure, but if you were, you'd have a better idea. And then you might also see, if I go back to this original one, this one's still checking. I was hoping it'd be done by now. Let me go down a little bit deeper and see if I can find another status error that I was looking for. Okay, so something went wrong while connecting here. Let's click this link and see what happens. Something is indeed wrong. So that may be the issue here. This does not appear to be a valid URL and the page isn't loading. And so the broken link checker helps me realize if I really wanted to link to kingstonfightingforourrights.co.uk, I need to find out where that web resource is now. If I went to go back, oh, so close. I think I can. The last one I wanted to show was on that scan. But so those are the basics. You can see there's pagination tools, the page it's on, the link it's on, the link text, the status, and the description. That's what the broken link checker is. That's how it works. And when it is done, you'll see, oh, we processed 17 pages. In this case, it found only 2 broken links. The first one is a 404, pretty straightforward. If I click it, I can confirm, yep, that page does not exist. And the other one is this 503. A 503 is when this service is unavailable. Sometimes it's temporary, sometimes it's permanent. I'm going to click this link and we'll see, yep, I'm getting a 503 server error. Those are the kind of common link errors that you'll find. And then here in this case, I'll say, okay, this ent well-being. If I go to this page and search for it, that's where the link that's broken exists. And so I might want to go into the visual editor and I can either remove this link, make it no longer a link, I can delete it, or if I knew where it was, I could replace it. In this case, I'm just going to delete it and save. So that is a tour of the broken link checker and what it does. I'm going to check the chat and see if I missed anything.
Yeah, so Carla is asking, can we explain the 50 scan
Oh,
limit?
sure.
Is that per book or per network? Okay, so for the purposes of this pilot, what we in doing the pilot, we want to make sure that we're not overwhelming the system by having everybody suddenly scan all of their books at the same time for broken links. And so that scan limit, and actually as we go in, I'll talk about the pilot in a minute. There is a scan limit for the pilot that's allowing us to test, make sure that it's as robust as we want it to be, and then also to get some patterns for how people are using it and get a sense from you about how you want to use it. The logical ways of doing it are either to say, you know what, the simplest way for us to make sure we're managing the traffic is to do a limit like that. Or to say for it may be tier based, and so if you're this tier, you have this many books. So here is a kind of an expected what we would expect in terms of scan levels and associating pricing with that. So it's possible that the scan limit, if we do a tier-based, we would handle it, in a different way, and you would not necessarily have the scan limit. But that scan limit there right now is there for the purposes of the pilot as we're learning about the usage patterns and how people want to use this over time. Christopher?
Yeah, and I think Steele might have just typed out what I was about to say. So one thing also that we want to consider is that link checkers basically run through websites, web pages, and they consume resources, not only our resources, but other people's resources where those links point to. We're hypersensitive now to the vast flood of bots, some AI bots, some malware bots, and all kinds of other things hitting our pages and costing us substantial amount in terms of our bandwidth costs and other things. And so we want to be good net citizens and use these kinds of things in a reasonable and a responsible way, so that we're not just hitting other people's networks without any real benefit.
Thank you for the explanation. One follow-up thing, and that makes total sense. And I think that's good to be mindful of. Is there a way, maybe this is something that you'll figure out with the pilot, but would there be a way for us to then tell users, like, you get one scan a year, like that's your shot, one scan a year, and make sure you take advantage of it, kind of a thing?
And that's an interesting, so this is why we want to have conversations with people like you, Carla, because we could actually build into it to say every book can be scanned twice a year, and that kind of like a fall term and a spring term. And we could build a pricing that's based on that. There's also a notion of like a user seat where the network manager can say, okay, I can let 3 people at any time do book scans, and so I'm going to let and let you be the mediator of that. That's harder though, because that adds more kind of administrative bottlenecking to network administrators, which is probably not something you want. So this is one of those things that we want to, like, if you're interested, do the pilot, see how it works, and then let's talk about this so that we'd love your ideas about what are things that would be workable for you that then we can build into our cost and our price modeling for something that makes sense.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so for the pilot, we expect that we're going to have this in pilot over November and December. The initial pilot structure is we'll give up to 20 free scans. Once we might actually bump that up to that part. This is like, okay, what do we take initially to sort of get the baseline level of things? If we find that everybody's running through 20 scans in 2 days, then we probably would bump that up, but also want to know tell us more about your usage patterns and usage needs to help inform the way that we're thinking about this and understanding how you would use this. The network manager can opt in. You can email premium support. You can email your account manager. You could type it into the chat and say, put me on the list here if you're interested. And what that means is that over the next couple of weeks, we will send a note. Actually, I sent one to Alia, who is on this call. Their institution was one of the first ones that said we're interested, and so the first couple of institutions we're going to be activating. We're planning to do that next Tuesday, and then we will add more as we're kind of getting it in and getting people, seeing what the usage is, and then we'll ramp that up over time. Cheryl, I think I sent you a message too. So Cheryl and Alia will be the first guinea pigs with this. We are going to be doing user research. There will be a survey that we can target to people who've actually run scans, and then we may do some one-on-one interviews to dive a little bit deeper. And that we'll be looking at the usage data as well and the patterns, and use that to help inform the final decisions both around design, functionality, and then the pricing model and structure.
Sorry, I just didn't catch it. Is the list full for people for the
The
pilot,
list is
or?
not full, so if you
Okay.
want to try it out, did you want us to put you on the list? Is Fanshawe
Yes,
on?
please.
Okay. Fanshawe is
We're under eCampus Ontario.
Yeah, so yeah, you're part of eCampus Ontario. So because you're part of a shared network, it's a little bit more complicated, but we know Mary, we like Mary. Hopefully we can work that out. So
Awesome.
yeah. Steele, let me turn things back to you to talk about Pressbooks results.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, so if you've been to these meetings in the last year or two, you've heard about Pressbooks results. So let me share my screen, I guess, unless, yeah, I'll just share. So give me a second. Pressbooks results is the assignment helper tool that we designed that lets you take embedded quizzes and other activities built with H5P. You put them in your Pressbooks book, you configure your chapter for grading, and then you connect it to your learning management system. Students take the assignment, they see grades appear in the gradebook, and you have what's called the Pressbooks Results Viewer, where you can drill down and understand more about their attempts on individual activities. We think it's a really helpful tool for formative assessment to help students practice and develop stronger kind of confidence in mastering course material. And it does anecdotally and to some extent empirically show that it really does increase students' motivation to engage with the learning materials because they're getting opportunities for practice and they can see immediately real-time feedback for how they've done. So there's an introduction video that shows how it works from end to end if you care to see it and you aren't familiar. But the thing we wanted to share is that usage is up and people are using it, and it's been really nice to see more instructors dive in and have a good experience, and more students also using this aspect of open pedagogy, mostly open textbooks, to improve their teaching and learning. So you can see some numbers here from what the numbers look like from the first part of the year and what they're at from this term. And there's percentage increases across the board. In particular, there's been a big jump in the number of courses and the number of students taking it, which is great. So some instructors have said yes, and I'm adding more. And then we also have new instructors and new institutions using it all the time. Along with that, we have something that not the greatest news to share, which was earlier this week, we shipped a feature that we're really excited about, but in so doing, we inadvertently introduced a bug, and it affected a handful of the multi-part complex activity types. Things like the quiz question set, the course presentation, interactive video, and a couple of other less used activities. The upshot was, although we were generally storing correct values in the database, there was a calculation error in the max score. And the max score is what gets used to calculate the student's overall grade and send it to the LMS gradebook. So between Monday, like 11 a.m. Eastern, and yesterday when we shipped a fix, there was a period of time when some students who were using certain activity types had incorrect grades sent to the gradebook. We apologize for that. We have notified all the instructors that were affected, and everybody's been informed. We have a couple of attempts or a couple of ways that people can work around this. If the easiest thing to do is simply to say, for the affected assignments, you just mark them as ungraded in the LMS, or say don't count towards the final grade. Or if you're open to it and the students are open to it, you can ask the students to reattempt the affected activities, and their grades will be updated correctly with the correct scores now moving forward. It was an extraordinary event. This does not happen to us very often. appreciative of the folks that have been patient with the fix and the solution, and we would love to restore your confidence in the accuracy and viability of the tool. If you are feeling shaky about it, let us know what you need, and we're happy to help do what we can. I see some comments in the chat. Let me make sure I'm not missed them. Okay. Okay, that's about broken link checker. Great. Any questions for me so far about Pressbooks or Pressbooks results? What's happening this term? If not, what I want to talk about next are some exciting recent improvements. The first, I'll have Mitch demo this shortly, that we've added new visualizations or drill downs to the Pressbooks result viewer for a complicated, complex activity type called the quiz or question set. This is one of the most used assessment types, and previously we weren't able to show a lot of details about what students did on those activities. Now we can, and it's quite exciting. The other thing that we've done is we've organized the assignment dropdown. So we've clicked the dropdown list to match the order that it's presented in the book instead of the order in which a random student may have attempted it in the course. So now the dropdown will match the book reading order, which is more expected sorting. There is a full screen option, which we've shown in past meetings, where students in the activity can click a button and make the activity go full screen. This helps because sometimes the space allotted in the LMS is quite small. And so we've let students break out of that LMS frame a little bit and go full screen without introducing extraneous distractions. And then there were a handful of minor accessibility issues that one of our clients reported. Those have been identified and fixed, and now should be fully accessible to users of keyboards and screen readers for the results viewer itself. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Mitch to give a demo of the most exciting new thing that was shipped for Pressbooks results, which is the quiz question set visualizations.
Thank you, Steele. So let me share my screen here. Just a second to have the correct window here. So in the past, so up to now, we have offered visualization for a handful of activity types, which is drag the words, essay, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, and true and false. And as Steele mentioned, we've just added the visualization for the results of the first multi-part activity type, which is the question set. So I'm here logged into Canvas as a student, and I will just go into this assignment that has a question set activity, so you can see what that actually looks like. So question set activities can have many different types of activities as sub-activities. So here, for instance, we have this question set quiz activity that has a multiple choice one here. I can check it. So, and then I go to the next slide and I have true false, which is another option that another activity type that I can use here. Go to the next one is also a true and false. And here we have a mark the words one where I can fill out like this. And then I click finish. And now I see I got a perfect score on this, and I can go and have a look at the results now by going into the results viewer. Here's the results viewer, and now I can choose the right assignment here. And as the student here, I see my attempts, my results here for this question set activity. And you can see this number is underlined here, this 7. So I can click on this to drill down. And this opens up this panel where I can see the name of the activity, the score I got. And now here I can move between the different attempts that I had. It shows the oldest attempt first. And there you see now the visualization for each sub-activity. So this is the first multiple choice question where I got a 0 out of 1. Then we have the second one. In that attempt, I got 1 out of 1. And the third one is also a true and false, where I got 1 out of 1. And the fourth one is a mark the words, which is not supported by the visualization as an individual activity. But here I still see I got a 2 out of 4. And so this shows me the right answers, or it can also, I don't see when I got them right and the wrong answers when I got them wrong. So this is what it looks like for a student, and I can quickly show you what it looks like in instructor view. So I go to the results viewer here, and so I see the students listed here that took this assignment, that submitted it. And so I have two students here. Let's click on this one, the drill down. Same thing, I can see their various attempts. It shows me the right, what they've answered. So I can see it for each one of them, what they, for each student, what they attempted in detail for this question set activity. As I said, this visualization is offered for a number of activities, and this is the first multi-part activity type that is being supported with visualization.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate the demo. There was a question, or Julie mentioned in the chat, as Julie mentioned, that the quiz question set is the second most widely used or the most popular H5P activity type across all of our networks. So this is a highly desirable feature, and we hope that people who are using it in their course can get more value out of that this way and have some insight into the things they've been hoping to understand. There was also a question from Cheryl who asked, when students do a H5P activity in the course, does it automatically add them as a user to their network and a subscriber to the book? We had a large class that was using Pressbooks results, and we're surprised to see almost 600 new users added to the network. And so we don't remember doing that. What happened? So the answer to that is yes. When anyone performs an LTI launch from the LMS, what happens is the LMS communicates to Pressbooks and it says, hey, someone's trying to access one of your resources. Pressbooks checks that they are a valid user from the LMS, and then we will authorize and authenticate them. If they don't have a user account, we create a user account, and we typically give them the default role as subscriber. That can be changed and customized if you wanted them to be given an author role or editor role in the case of an open pedagogy project, but in almost every case, they're just added as a subscriber. And we do that for two reasons. One, that ensures that if the content is private and not public, that they have the necessary permissions to view private content, because a lot of people will take private content and put it in their LMS. It's not visible to the world, it's only visible in their course. And the second reason is we need to know who they are if they are attempting an activity, so we can store their attempt on the H5P in our database and send it back to the LMS. And so the user account is needed for those two things. Yeah, and then Mitch has noted we'll add some clarifying language to the guide just to reduce future confusion about that. The question about the guide was a great seg into the next slide, which is we have an information page on our website. It's pressbooks.com/pressbooks-results-hub, and that gives you lots more information about what Pressbooks Results is. There's a video, there's case studies, and lots more. We have some recordings of specific training sessions, including how to use Pressbooks in each LMS. Those are available on the YouTube playlist linked. And then every month we do dedicated webinars on 3 different topics. And the second one in the series, it's called Create Engaging Learning Materials. And Pressbooks Results, I would say, is the star of the show for that one. We'll talk about what are H5P activities? How can you select and create relevant ones? How can you put them in your book? How can you configure a book for grading? And how can you connect the resource to the LMS? So if you have any end users who are curious and want to do more with formative assessment or H5P, or even just want to see what students are doing when they do the reading in the LMS, this is a great training webinar you can send them to. We do it once a month and it's free. Even if they can't attend, if they register, they'll get the recording. So those are some resources that should help folks as they move forward. That's what I wanted to share about Pressbooks Results today. And the next thing I want to talk about is pretty exciting. And many of you got an email about this recently, but we have overhauled the Pressbooks community forum. If you visit pressbooks.community, you'll see a brand new, refreshed forum. There are new categories and less clutter. The big change that you'll notice is there is a category that is, most of the people here, I assume, are network managers. There's a category that is for you. It's a public group or a category called Administering Pressbooks Networks. And so everything collected in that category is designed to help you do your job to administer Pressbooks networks. There's resources and information that we share, and it's also a place where you and your peers can talk to one another. Sometimes the questions you have are not explicitly, how do I do X in Pressbooks, but how do I use Pressbooks to support this grant program that I have, or how do you structure faculty expectations for professional development? There are a number of interesting conversations that network managers have with one another here in the forum, and we want to make the forum a richer and more useful place for you all. You don't have to have an account to read anything in the forum, but if you want to reply or to create a topic, you do need an account. And fortunately, that's easy to do. There is a link that I posted here. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you'd like to join, you can use this invite link and you can join very quickly. But this is what it looks like if you click that link and follow it. Are you still seeing my screen? Great. If you click accept invitation, I'm already logged in. Dang it. If I was not logged in, I would have accepted the invitation and it would have given me the prompt to log in. But over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be posting resources and things that came up from us from OpenEd. And there's also going to be a handful of conversations in support of some of the upcoming webinars. One that's going to be about institutional efforts to improve accessibility. I think that would be a high degree of interest from many of you. And another that's a pretty fascinating topic about the intersection of open pedagogy with generative AI. Jen will talk a bit more about those, or we'll talk a bit more about those webinars later, but there'll be some forum-related space to converse about that soon.
All right, thank you. I'm keeping an eye on time. So our Open Education Network discount policy. So we are making an adjustment to that. So we offer discounts to Open Education Network institutional members. Effective on January 1st of next year, the discount will be 20%. It's down from 30%. That's on new enterprise networks at tier 2 and above. For any current clients who've had discounted pricing, we will continue to honor the original discount as your contracts renew. So this is for basically for new people that are coming in. And in the past, we've offered a 1-year collaboration free Pressbooks.pub subscription. That probably isn't as relevant to you guys because you are full Pressbooks subscribers, but we will continue to do that. We're doing some standardization in how we engage with partner organizations around discount policies, and this is one that we needed to modernize, I guess. It's different from the many years ago when we got started, and so we're bringing that in alignment with what we're doing with other partners. So I don't think anyone here is affected on a go-forward basis, but we wanted to let folks know about that. And OEN has also been in the loop. We've had conversations with them, so they've been aware it's coming, and we'll be adjusting the message on that in their community as well. The Koko book dashboards provide book usage data. Many authors find it helpful. In September, we saw some big spikes in network traffic and found that there was a performance vulnerability with bots finding those dashboard pages and crawling the sites and slowing down the networks as a result. We ended up to close that vulnerability, but still allow that helpful data. We blocked access to the public book dashboards, but made semi-public dashboards. In other words, it's identical to what it was before, but people need to be logged into a Pressbooks network where the book resides in order to see it. And so this is something we didn't want everybody to suffer based on that, and found a kind of a way to sort of split the baby, allow visibility, but have it logged in to make sure the bots were not grinding our network performance to a crawl. The next item on network catalog book card update. So publication date is an important and expected metadata field. Up to this point, up to what recently, the publication date, the original publication date was not listed on network catalog book cards, and we had gotten a number of requests for that. So we've added that now on your network catalog. If you open it up, it will show the publication date as well as the last updated date. It's that combination of dates that provide a more complete picture of where OER comes from, how old it is, how recently it's been updated, and so forth. We are also planning to add this to the Pressbooks directory book cards soon. There's a couple of kind of testing things that we're doing based on the structure of that tool, and so you can look out for that in the future. This is what it looks like. So this is from one of our client network catalogs, and you can see the publication date is listed first, followed by the last updated date. If there's no publication date listed for an institution, that might be omitted, but in most cases there is a publication date. So. Okay, one other thing relevant. So in the past, when authors published any book, the default was you click publish, and by default, we made it public. And in fact, we know that the reality is a lot of times when people click publish, they might not be ready to share it publicly. They may still be doing work on it. And often authors or creators were even unaware that it had become public when they click publish. And so we've changed the default. So the default is when they click publish, the default is it will be private rather than public. And then they can choose intentionally when they're ready to make it officially public, to make that visible. So, oh yeah, and Steele, sorry, I missed that. On the publication date, you can now filter and sort by publication date too. So thank you for adding that in. Any questions on that or the public private default item? Okay. So moving on to user research activities, the broken link checker. So we have the pilot. We are going to be asking folks about this again. If you're interested in this, if you start using it and are interested in a more drill down conversation, let us know. We would love to have you involved in that. Book information and metadata. We're also doing some exploratory work on this area. And if you have a particular interest in this area and want to weigh in, Michelle would love to get some time with you. And the QR codes are the links to her calendar for these different types of research activities. And then the last one, as we mentioned last time, we are also doing some exploration, discovery, and validation work around the microcredential space and supporting a kind of short form skill-aligned learning content, which is sort of the essence of what microcredential stuff is about. If you're interested, you can contact me, and Amanda Coolidge is also helping us on this work. She's a familiar name and face to many of you. Okay. A couple of things. So Steele alluded to a couple of special topic webinars coming up. Next week, we're doing one. It's a panel discussion about navigating the 2026 accessibility requirements, talking to a range of different institutions at different stages and along the spectrum of preparing for that and approaches that they're taking. And then, this one has the wrong date. I think it's November 19th. This was a copy paste thing. I will get the correct information here. I think this hyperlink is correct. But we're doing in conjunction with OE Global, another OER Under the Hood session. This one is with the University of Leeds on a project around co-creating a Learning with AI book, or a book that features the work of students and their experiences in using AI as a learning partner. So that should be a fun discussion. Steele mentioned the training webinars that we do every month. So we have our November webinars coming up over the next 3 weeks, and then in December, we have the first one on our calendar now. I think that the others will show up on our website, and you can always find the webinars on the Pressbooks website. Okay, and then a couple of upcoming conferences. I will be presenting with Liza Long at OLC Accelerate. If anybody's going there and wants to connect, let me know. We'll also be at the DECHI conference in Palm Springs. That's a California teaching and learning technology conference. And then we thought it might be helpful to do heads up for some of the proposals and events coming up that may be of general interest. And so the Library Publishing Forum has a CFP deadline in mid-December, and then the Language OER Conference, which is a great virtual conference, has a deadline in early January. So if you have folks that might be interested in either of those, keep those in mind. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support.